You're watching News Central TV. Welcome. It's NC Continental Prime. We begin with the top stories tonight. Niger to adopt common currency with Burkina Faso and Mali. DR Congo beefs up security at embassies, UN buildings following protests. Opposition demands prosecution of South Africa's vice president on graft charges. We have those stories and others ahead on the news tonight. Please stay with us. For our viewers across Africa and the rest of the world, this is NC Continental Prime. I'm Kofi Bartels. You're welcome. Our coverage tonight begins in the west of the continent, where the head of the military regime in Niger, Abdurrahman Chiani, has talked about the possible creation of a common currency with Burkina Faso and Mali, calling it a step out of colonization. He spoke in an interview on Nigerian national television. Nigerian national television. Chiani has not given details of the possible circulation of a future currency. The statement comes 2 weeks after the withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger from the Economic Community of West African States.
Est une étape de sortie de cette colonisation. Les États de l'Alliance du Sahel ont des experts et au moment opportun, comme je l'ai dit, Inch'Allah, nous déciderons. Et nous allons décider, Inch'Allah. La monnaie, c'est un signe de souveraineté. Nous sommes engagés dans un processus de recouvrement de notre souveraineté totale. Il n'est plus question que nos États soient la vache à lait de la France. La France nous a spolié plus de 107 ans. Nous devons trouver ensemble quels sont les mécanismes qui nous permettent de renforcer les échanges au sein de notre alliance, que ce soit des échanges monétaires et tout autre type d'échange pour que cette zone de l'Alliance des États du Sahel soit effectivement, comme nous l'avons souhaité, une zone de prospérité.
Let's not head to Nigeria, where the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, has said that if the ongoing inflation continues, organized labor might push for a new minimum wage of up to 1 million naira for workers in Nigeria. Ajaero said the demand of organized labor will be influenced by the cost of living, which has been increasing since President Bola Tinubu assumed office, notably due to the removal of the subsidy on petrol and other policies. Now, both the NLC, Trade Union Congress, last week, Thursday, issued a 14-day strike notice to the federal government expressing frustration over its failure to implement a 16-point agreement signed in October 2023. The unions demanded the government fulfill its obligations within the stipulated 14-day period starting from Friday, February 9, 2024. Now, let's talk about Nigeria's economy. The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced a significant reform in the foreign exchange market, signaling a stride towards a market-driven exchange rate mechanism, potentially paving the way for a free float of the Nigerian currency, the naira. Now, this follows last week's circular removing caps on international money transfer operations. The CBN's recent circular outlines pivotal changes, including the discontinuation of a cap on the spread in interbank exchange transactions, and the lifting of restrictions on the sale of interbank proceeds. According to the circular, a key objective of the ongoing foreign exchange market reforms by Nigeria's Apex Bank is to promote a market-based price discovery system marking a shift towards a more liberalized forex regime. Prominent Nigerians, including the country's President Bola Tinubu and some state governors, have joined others in mourning the Group Chief Executive Officer of Access Holdings PLC, Mr. Herbert Wigwe, who died in a helicopter crash in the United States of America on Friday. They described the deceased as a brilliant banker under whose leadership the bank grew in leaps and bounds. Wigwe, his wife Doreen, and son Chizi, and a former group chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group, Abimbola Ogunbanjo, lost their lives in the helicopter crash which occurred near a border town between California and Nevada. Access Group was ranked 65th when Wigwe and his co-founder bought it, but the bank reportedly is one of the top 4 by the time he died. Under his leadership, Access Bank, which had years earlier acquired Intercontinental Bank, also acquired Diamond Bank. To look at the life and times of the affected persons, we're joined by Abiodun Kayode Ali. He's an economist and senior manager with PricewaterhouseCoopers, Nigeria. Good evening to you, sir, and thank you very much for your time. It's indeed very sad circumstances under which we're having this conversation. How will you describe Herbert Wigwe?
Thanks, Kofi. My condolences to his family, both corporate and biological family. It's really a painful exit. So to your question, Herbert Wigwe is someone who is known as a visionary leader, right? Considering his achievements and what he has contributed to society, not only to the banking world, but also as far as leadership is concerned, right? Like you said at your opening remarks, looking at what he has done with respect to moving Access Bank from its position at that point in time to making it among one of the big 5 banks, right? Despite the fact that other banks have been in existence prior to it. I think that's one laudable achievement. Then also looking at making it one of the banks with the largest assets, following the acquisition of Diamond Bank. I think these are remarkable achievements. I mean, given the age of Herbert Wigwe when he achieved all this, right? So he's someone who has made a lot of impact. Also, not to forget some of the things he did. You remember during the COVID period, the COVID coalition against COVID-19. Access Bank himself, along with Aliko Dangote, coming out to make contributions to make the lives of Nigerians better during that period, considering the lockdown, by distributing food items, test kits, and other equipment that were useful during that period. So his contributions are actually remarkable, and it's something he's going to be sorely missed by all Nigerians at this point in time.
The bank he co-founded is expected to survive since corporate governance is in place. But do you think that such structures exist for his other ventures? We look at the likes of the Wigwe University, for instance.
Yeah, thanks, Kofi. That's a very, very good question. I know a lot of Nigerians are actually discussing this right now. So looking at Herbert Wigwe, it's well known that one important thing about leadership is you being able to create a sustainable foundation that actually outlives you, right? So looking at his current successor, the current MD of Access Bank, is someone who is also vast and someone who is actually has the leadership skills as well. So one thing I would say about Access Bank, Herbert Wigwe and his co-partner, Imokode, during that period, is that there are people who actually have a good succession plan. So there's actually no cause for concern, given the fact that even the Access Bank staff can actually attest to the fact that Access Bank is a place where you have people who actually take after the leadership of Herbert, its founders, right? So I don't think there is any cause for alarm. And the example you gave regarding the Wigwe University, which is about to kickstart this same year, I don't think this is something to be concerned about, because even though Abatwigwe is at the forefront of these investments, it's not something he's doing on his own. So he definitely has the support of like-minded investors who are actually investing critically in the banking sector as well as the education sector, right? So I don't think it's any cause for concern. I think these are investments that would actually outlive its founders, right? So I do think that partnership is still on the way with respect to these investments.
Is it too early to ask how soon the board of Access Holdings will announce a replacement for Wigwe?
Well, I would say, and the news had even come out that the successor will be announced soon. But given the fact that corporate governance rules, right? So I do think a successor will be announced, and it has actually been confirmed. So I don't think it's a cause for concern. It's this business must actually continue, and that's the brilliant thing about such rules, given the fact that it's not a sole proprietorship whereby if the founder actually passes away, the business actually crumbles. So I do think that they will actually come up with a successor very soon, even though they've actually announced that.
And could Wigwe's death affect the company's expansion plan across Africa?
Yeah, I actually don't think so. I don't think so. I think currently with the board of leaders that we have at Access Bank, I think that can do attitude, that fearless attitude, which has always been the mantra. I think it exists across board. I think Wigwe has done a good job in distilling these leadership principles and tenets, right, to every of his followers and even the team of Access Bank. So definitely the vision and the dream would continue. Yes, Wigwe will be sorely missed, but like I said, one of the good marks of a leader is the ability to distill your ideas into your followers. So I don't think there's going to be any disruption to the plans to expand. I think Access Bank will continue to do so, and they will continue to do so even in memory of Herbert Wigwe.
Abiodun Kaide-Ali, economist and senior manager with PricewaterhouseCoopers Nigeria. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Kofi.
As the Nigerian Army continues in its efforts to enthrone sustainable security in the country, the need for personnel to display a high level of discipline in the discharge of their duties has been reiterated. Now, this was the crux of a one-day event in Jos, Plateau State, organized by the Nigerian Army's Department of Training and Doctrine Command. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe was there and now reports.
Over 500 personnel from all the formations of the Nigerian Army in the country converged on the plateau, hosted by the 3 Armored Division Maxwell Kobe Cantonment, Rukuba. They have gathered for the 2024 Lieutenant to Captain Practical Promotion Examination that will remold and pitch them to a higher level of their career. It is not business as usual, but rather an event to further inculcate in them core values of the Nigerian Army for the tasks ahead.
It is often said that success in life is only attainable through hard work and dedication. While this is true, however, success in the profession of arms which you belong demands more than the aforesaid. In addition to hard work and dedication, you must be disciplined, courageous, and exemplary leader, among other essential attributes. These virtues form the core values of the Nigerian Army, and it is on this premise that your career trajectory would be assured.
If these candidates will contribute their quota to Nigeria's peacekeeping mission, then the assessment of their proficiency and development is of great importance.
It also seeks to expand your knowledge and understanding of various aspects of military operations, including counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operations, internal security operations, navigation, as well as hybrid operations, which are all imperative in addressing the myriad of the current security challenges facing our dear nation. Therefore, the relevance of this examination in building your leadership and capacity to achieve national security objectives cannot be overemphasized.
Aside from a 13-kilometer combat walk, 2.3-kilometer run, and vertical rope climbing, among others, the candidates will also be examined in French language and 7 other subjects to qualify for their next ranks. In Jos for News Central, I am Chizoba Anyonwe.
The Nigeria Customs Service has intercepted 52 units of elephant tusks in Umfum, a border town of Ikom local government area of Cross River State. The controller of Cross River and Akwa Ibom Command of the NIS, Ahmed Oziri, said this at a news conference in Calabar on Monday, revealing that the arrest was made by operatives of the NIS in Umfum on Thursday, adding that the tusks weighing 200 kilograms were valued at 300 million naira. He said a Cameroonian, Mohammed Ibrahim, was arrested with the items, saying that the suspect was suspected to be on his way to Lagos for onward transportation of the items to another location when he was apprehended. Let's turn attention to politics. Crisis is brewing in the Labour Party, Nigeria's opposition party, as its national treasurer, Mrs. Oluchi Opara, on Monday demanded that national chairman Julius Abure render an account of the party's funds over 3.5 billion naira being proceeds of sale of forms and sundry fundraisers for the 2023 general elections. Opara made the demand on Monday at a press conference in Abuja. The treasurer alleged that Abure prevented her from exercising her constitutionally assigned role of handling the party's accounts. Opara equally claimed that the chairman has shunned all entreaties to open the party's books for scrutiny after the sale of expression of interest and nomination forms closed before the January 2023 general elections. More from Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu's Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila has said that social media has become a societal menace and must be regulated. He said this while representing the President, Bola Tinubu, at the public presentation of a book, Nigeria, Public Discourse. Lagos Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was also represented at the event by his deputy Obafemi Hamzat. The statement noted that President Bola Tinubu maintains that his administration has an obligation to engage in evidence-based discussions and data-reliant decision-making, hence the need for accurate data that will be used for better policy formulation and execution. Earlier, Femi Royal, a policy analyst, and Elvis Akbobi, executive director of Not Too Young to Lead Initiative, spoke to us on this.
A lot of times when our policymakers or politicians generally advocate for, regulation of social media, first things on the countries they cite are the likes of, China, where it's not exactly a democracy. Imagine in America, for example, and you're putting out advocacy for the control of social media. You will face very steep opposition, right? Because social media is a very important tool. We must understand that it is a tool, right? And it's also a tool that supports democracy because it gives a platform for sharing information. It gives a platform for connecting with people across different divides, across different political sides, and essentially the good thing about it is it gives a platform for sharing ideas, for engaging, for having opinions, and for hearing yourself out as much as possible. Most of the politicians that are talking today, a lot of them have leveraged social media to further their ideas, to advance their ideologies and all of that.
Social media is a tool of our time, and if you agree with me, it's the biggest estate in the world. It's a tool where we've used over time to, amplify the muted voices of other people, from bring back our girls to women now behind wheels in Saudi Arabia, and to, always engage those who contracted governance with our votes. So when I see issues of regulating social media, fine, there are issues of problem, there are challenges with fake news and all that. But the fact remains that you're a Nigerian. Imagine we don't have this tool of our time. We couple with the kind of persons, the mindset of the persons who are leading us today. Nigeria will go into extinction. Not because we don't have good leaders, but because the ordinarily people who are leading us today don't put Nigeria as their primary, they don't put Nigeria first as their primary motive, but they put their personal interest. Let's not forget, to these same persons clamoring for regulatory or regulating social media, they use the same tool to, drag the likes of former President Goodluck Jonathan when they talked that bring back our.
Nigeria's federal government's pledge to release 102,000 metric tons of assorted grains in a bid to address the pressing food crisis in the country has garnered attention from leading opposition parties in the country. The opposition Labour Party and People's Democratic Party have both urged President Bola Tinubu's administration to ensure transparency in executing this commitment. They expressed skepticism over past unfulfilled promises, and the spokespersons from the opposition parties emphasized the need for the government to deliver on its word this time. The Labour Party's campaign organization criticized previous failed pledges, citing delays in delivering promises to the citizens. Similarly, the PDP's Deputy National Publicity Secretary underscored the urgency of the situation, urging the government to act decisively to alleviate hunger among Nigerians. Nurses under the aegis of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, NMCN, are protesting the new verification certification guidelines released by the council. The protests, which are being carried out at the NMCN's office in Yaba, Lagos, is seeking the verification of certificates to foreign nursing boards and councils must possess 2 years post-qualification experience. Here's News Central's Omolola Ololade with more.
Chanting solidarity songs and carrying placards that reads, "Let the nurse breathe," and "No to verification rules." The National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Lagos State Chapter, expressed their dissatisfaction over the new verification guidelines released by the Nigerian Nurses and Midwifery Council of Nigeria. The revised guidelines for requesting verification of certificate for nurses and midwives states that a non-refundable fee per application shall be paid for verification to foreign boards of nursing as specified on the portal. It also mentioned that eligible applicants must have a minimum of 2 years post-qualification experience from the date of issuance of the permanent practicing license, a move these nurses have described as a hindrance to their career progression.
We are nurses licensed by the NMCN. Yes. So, lawfully, we should not be expecting our own regulatory body to refer us back to any head or CMD to give us authorization letter for our own verification. That is totally wrong and an act of human rights violation.
The issue is underemployment of nurses in Nigeria. Yes. We have thousands of nurses that are unemployed. Yes. You are not employing them, and you don't want them to go and get employment where they want it. What do you want them to do? What we are asking is this: remove the verification circular that you have just released, remove it.
The new verification guidelines was signed by the Registrar of the Council, Dr. Farouk Abubakar. He believes the new guidelines will help retain some of Nigeria's medical talent and provide solutions to Nigeria's medical brain drain. In response to this, The Nigerian nurses are demanding an immediate withdrawal of the circular.
We actually want the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria to withdraw the circular within 48 hours. We hereby want to let you know that we will be going on national strike, irrespective of whatsoever the condition might have been.
With the outcry from the Nigerian nurses through this protest, it is hoped that the government will listen to their yearnings and make necessary adjustments. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
NC Continental Prime goes on a break. When we return, we have more stories. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching NC Continental Prime. Now to more stories. The UK Minister for Business and Trade, Kemi Badenoch, has visited the first British independent school in West Africa, Charterhouse School, where she noted that it was part of the UK government's commitment to supporting Nigeria's desire to offer high-quality education at home. News Central's Bettina Nweli was there and reports.
In 1611, Charterhouse has been home to preeminent thinkers, creators, writers, and leaders. This rich history and the school's underlying values all feed into the essence of Charterhouse Lagos. Recent talks between the UK and Nigeria have helped to remove restrictions to transactional education investments in Nigeria, worth around £50 million, enabling UK higher education institutions to build partnerships with their Nigerian counterparts.
I don't think it is sustainable for everybody to believe that they can send their children to the UK. Well, we have children from all around the world coming to the UK, and we have started these franchise schools like Charterhouse, like Dulwich, in the Middle East, in Asia, and this is the biggest endeavor in all of West Africa. I have never seen a site as big as this. It's bigger than the ones that I've heard of in the Middle East and in Asia, and I think it is a testament to the fact that people want to invest in Nigeria. They want a good investment environment in Nigeria, but they also want to invest in the things that Nigerians want as well, which is an excellent education for their children.
The school, set to open its doors come September 2024, aims to deliver a strong academic curriculum with day and boarding facilities, with a focus on intra- and extracurricular activities, including sports, arts, and science.
It is the first British branded school. Yes, there are some great schools here. What we're also doing differently, we have world-class facilities, we have world-class international teachers, we have an amazing teacher training program. So what we're doing is bringing all of the elements that you would expect in an international school and offering them here in Lagos. And that is the first time anyone has done it. You'll find it in so many other cities across the world, but not Nigeria.
While in Lagos, Minister Badenoch will meet with other key businesses as well as the British Development Finance Institution and the British International Investment to discuss trade and investment opportunities for businesses on both sides. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Unwili.
The Nigerian Navy ship NNS Pathfinder has uncovered 15 illegal refining camps made up of 6 refineries each, with a capacity to refine 2.7 million liters of crude oil in Bokokiri K community in Degama, local government area of Rivers State. Dismantling the illegal refineries, the Naval Commander NNS Pathfinder Commodore Desmond Igbo explained that each of the camps has up to 6 cooking pots and ovens that contain over 33,000 liters of crude oil. He also explained that the illegal oil refiners and economic saboteurs purposely chose the location deep inside the creeks, using pipes to siphon crude from wellheads to some kilometers inside mangrove swamps where they cannot easily be found. Political analyst Kelechi Deca joins me now to look at this. Kelechi, good evening to you. Very, very glad to have you tonight on the news. Let's begin by asking you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. What have you seen firsthand regarding this problem of oil theft? I mean, those images are quite telling.
I mean, oil theft in Nigeria is something we've had with us for over 30 years now. I mean, it's something we've been struggling with over the years. You know, a new government will come, will make all the necessary noise, and, you know, but within few months or so, we'll keep on having the same problem we've been having. And I mean, in a situation whereby we are still unable to meet our OPEC quota of 1.8 million barrels per day, we are still struggling between 1.3 and 1.4, sometimes 1.2. Even there was a time, sometime last year, we couldn't even meet 1 million barrels per day. And this is a country that's in economic crisis. This is a country that the government is struggling for revenue, and knowing that petroleum and brings in close to 90% of government revenue, ordinarily is something government should have taken seriously, something that should have been addressed over time. But we've been going through it back and forth, every government that comes. But I mean, and what you're showing there is just, this is not something that you just bring a bricklayer from the side to come and construct. These things are heavy equipment, need heavy equipment to be constructed, and it takes time. So that these things is happening is something we should be worried about.
What factors would you say have contributed to the growth of oil theft in Nigeria, particularly in the Niger Delta?
Somebody made a claim the other time that there's no way you or anybody or any group will be able to successfully, or siphon oil or successfully engage in oil theft without the security agencies being aware of it. And when you look at it, and you also look at the logistics it takes to even engage in oil theft, and also to engage in marketing it, selling it either within the country or outside the country, then you know that there is no way government agencies will claim ignorance of how these things are happening. So, and that's what has been helping to create the boom within that sector, because they have a lot of backing, either from security agencies or from government agencies or from regulatory agencies. They've not been able to do enough, and that they're not doing enough means that some of them are making gains from it. If they're not making gains from it, they've been able to stop it all along. But they're making gains from it. So it's a very thriving business. Apart from what is happening here, the damages is creating within the Niger Delta area. the economic sabotage, and even the damages to the entire country is horrible. So you can't take it away from both the regulatory agencies and the security apparatus. They all know what's happening, and they've not been able to come all out to tackle it because some of them are making gains from it.
Kelechi Deca, it's been good to have you in the news tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We go on another break. When we return, we have more stories right here on NC Continental Prime. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Central Africa, DR Congo authorities on Monday stepped up security outside the embassies and the United Nations buildings after they were targeted by protesters who accused the West of supporting the M23 rebels in the east of the country. On Saturday, embassy and United Nations vehicles were targeted by demonstrators. The head of the UN's MONUSCO peacekeeping mission in Bintu Keita, that said on X, formerly known as Twitter, that several of its vehicles had been set on fire. Protests broke out last week in the capital Kinshasa, in the southeastern city of Lubumbashi. On Friday, dozens of youth demonstrated outside the embassies of France and Britain, and earlier in the week in front of the United States Embassy. According to the DR Congo government, it has decided to strengthen security arrangements in the different embassies as well as at the premises of MONUSCO, even as it strongly condemns the acts of violence. We now head to South Africa, where the country's leading opposition party said on Monday that it had asked authorities to charge the country's deputy president with corruption, upping pressure on the ruling party ahead of the general elections. Deputy President Paul Mashatile has for months been at the center of media investigations which allege he benefited from luxury properties made available to him by his son-in-law and others in return for help in securing tenders and other favors. A spokesman for Mashatile, who took up his current post in March 2023 after being appointed by President Cyril Ramaphosa, did not immediately reply to a request for comment. He has previously denied the allegations, which predate his appointment as second in command and revolve around his time in provincial and national government. It's time to take the latest from the world of business. Let's show in our business desk.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
On business, the Bank of Ghana has launched the beta version of the Bank of Ghana database portal, which is aimed at providing a single environment for extracting and visualizing macroeconomic data. A statement issued by the bank in Accra said the provision of this portal was in line with international best practices and the bank's commitment to greater transparency associated with its inflation targeting framework of monetary policy. The BOG stated that the portal will also help meet data request demands from the general public and support research work. It said the data contained in the portal was organized along 5 main economic sectors, including external, financial, fiscal, monetary, real sector, and survey-based indicators. Away from that, the Finance Minister of Egypt, Mohamed Maid, said that some of the impacts of the Red Sea attacks on vessels on the Suez Canal earnings might be absorbed by growth that was performing well before the incidents. Maid said the government has been planning to rely more on the private sector in terms of project expenditure, adding that if you look at the project spending figures for the last 7 months, it has dropped by 10%. He said this on the sidelines of the World Government Summit in Dubai. Since November 19, the Houthis hijacked a commercial ship in the Red Sea and have continued attacking more than 24 of others with drones, missiles, and speedboats. Now, Henry Wasney, Managing Director, Sophie Bank SA, said that the firm is considering bringing in strategic equity partners, including other banks, as it looks to expand in new markets in the sub-region. The family-held Sophie Bank has grown its asset base to about $1.2 billion over the past decade, and it is considering selling an equity stake to help finance its plans to expand into markets including Guinea, neighboring Republic of Congo, and Zambia. Wasney adds that it could consider a strategic investor or partnering with other banks that have a similar growth ambition and vision, and he declined to say if Sophie Bank was engaged in any active discussions with the potential investors or partners. And that's it on Business News. I am Lekon Onobanjo. There's still more to come. Don't go away.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Well, it's time to take the latest from the world of sports with more. Here's our sports guest.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In the world of sport, tributes have poured in for Kenyan running sensation Kelvin Kiptum after the marathon world record holder was killed in a car crash at the age of 24. The favorite for the Paris 2024 Olympics was driving from Kaptagat to Eldoret in the Rift Valley of the Western Kenya around 11 p.m. local time on Sunday, when his car came off the road and hit a tree. People in Western Kenya gathered around the wreck site of the car driven by the world record holder on Monday. Images showed the mangled wreck of the vehicle, its windscreen shattered, the roof and doors buckled and almost ripped off. Kiptum, a father of two, and his Rwandan coach Gavis Hakizimana were killed on Sunday, while a woman passenger who was with them was seriously injured, police say. The South African Football Association, SAFA, has charged the Bafana Bafana to build on their African Cup of Nations success of a third-place finish in order to clinch the 2026 World Cup spot. This charge was given at the bronze medal presentation from players to the federation after the third-place victory over DR Congo at a just concluded competition. The performance of the Bafana Bafana at the AFCON in Ivory Coast ignited a newfound sense of pride and optimism in South African football. Receiving the third-place medal on behalf of the federation, President of SAFA, Danny Jordan, taxed the players on commitment and true patriotism, which he says should not overshadow the fact that grassroots development is the lifeblood of any successful footballing nation.
No, Mr. President, just want to thank you for your support. Thank you.
Serie A will remain a 20-team division after a league assembles scotched on Monday an attempt by Italy's biggest club to cut the number of participants to 18. In a statement, Serie A said the league's current format of 20 teams has been confirmed following a meeting at Milan's headquarters. Italian media report that Inter Milan, Juventus, AC Milan and Roma were the only 4 clubs to vote in favor of the proposal, with the other 16 teams all voting against. The idea of cutting the number of teams in Italy's top flight has been floating around for a while as the number of games played by top clubs and players increases. Serie A's top 4 from the season will take part in the Champions League, which from next term will have a new format.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Well, it's time to take the latest from the world of entertainment. Sam Dandy has all the details in this package.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
And now in Entertainment on Continental Prime. Prince of Afrobeat, Rema, has cemented his global status with a groundbreaking achievement. This time, his hit single, Calm Down, has surpassed a staggering 2 billion on YouTube, making him the first African artist to reach this milestone. This incredible feat underscores Rema's meteoric rise. Since Mavin launched him in 2019, his popularity has surged alongside his stream count. Tracks like Do Baby, Iron Man, and Woman have been anthems captivating audiences worldwide. A Little Birdie has also told me that Rema plans to return to India this year for the second leg of his India tour. Well, I can't exactly confirm the authenticity of that information since Rema hasn't told us himself. Anyways, you'll be the first to know the moment we find out.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
And now in Entertainment on
And that's all at this hour right here at NC Continental Prime. But before we go, let's take another look at the highlights. Niger says it will adopt a common currency with neighbors Burkina Faso and Mali. The Democratic Republic of Congo's government has beefed up security at embassies and the United Nations buildings in the country following protests there. We also told you that the opposition has demanded prosecution of South Africa's deputy president on charges of graft. Please send us your eyewitness reports. You can use the WhatsApp number and email address showing on your screen, but please do so in a safe manner. Also follow us on social media on the major platforms. We are at News Central TV. As you can see, you can watch us on any of these channels or platforms. Many thanks for watching the news tonight. That's NC Continental Prime for now. My name is Kofi Bartels. Good night.